Hey guys, KHFM here. This is going to be a tutorial on how to play Pokemon trading card game. I'm going to be using the Pokemon trading card game online game, and Rex just bit my finger. You're probably wondering where Kingdom Hearts Final Mix 100% is this week. It is. My controller is currently broken and I'm getting a replacement one. I won't be able to get that until next week. So, in the meantime, I'll just do this video. Now, in Pokemon TCG, that's Pokemon Trading Card Game, you have three sorts of cards. Pokemon cards, Trainer cards, or Energy cards. Pokemon cards have three standard formats. They have, let me just go to set. There we go. Should do it here. This is a basic, which is the lowest form, and those are ones you play directly to the field. You then have Stage 1 Pokemon, which you have to place on top of basic Pokemon to evolve it. You then have Stage 2 Pokemon, which you have to play on Stage 1 Pokemon. For example, to place this chandelier lure, you have to have a lamp in play. Now, see how on these cards they have symbols here? Now there are multiple different symbols. There's darkness, fighting, fire, grass, lightning, psychic, water. Where is it? I swear I have some other ones. Okay, well I don't seem to have any fairy ones at the moment. Where have they gone? I'll just do this, so I can find them all. Yeah, fairy. And yes, that's... Oh, and steel, which they don't seem to be showing for some reason. I don't know why. No, they're not showing them. Isn't that? Oh, there. Metal. Did I show metal? I'm pretty sure I did. Okay then. To use a move, you have to have that amount of energies. For example, this move here requires one green energy, one leaf energy, and this one requires two leaf energy. Now they don't consume the energies when you play them, so they have them for as long as you like. Though there are some with colorless energy, which is this one right here. To use a colorless energy, you need any. Does not matter whatsoever. So you could have for this one a dark and fairy energy, even though it's a fighting type. All the type does is influence the weakness, the resistance, and the general sort of energies used. Now, dragon types tend to have a mixture. This one, for example, this Bagon has a fire and water energy required for its second move, Dragon Claw. Now, you'll notice in the corner there is a bar. There's a HP bar, which this is 70. So to beat this one, you need to cause 70 damage to it. So, for example, this says, for example, you this move, if that Caracosta was against this Carbink, if it used this move, this waterfall move, it would beat the Carbink. Now, the attacks do stack up. They're not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where it's always the strongest one beats. These moves stack up to beat the opponent. And there's also a weakness effect here in the corner, in the bottom corner. Weakness is if a Pokemon of that type, for example, this Chikorita was versing this Charmeleon. If that Charmeleon used its Flare attack, which normally does 20 damage, because it's a fire type, and Chikorita is weak against fire types, that instead of doing 20 damage, it would do 40 damage because it doubles. So it says times 2, which means you multiply the damage caused by this Charmeleon by 2. So for example, if it used Raging Claw attack, let's just disregard the bottom text, it would do 100 damage. Now, there's also a resistance thing. That means that, for example, if this Clauncher used Crab Hammer on it, which normally does 30 damage, you have to subtract 20 damage from that, so it wouldn't actually do 10 damage to this Chikorita. So, yeah. Now, some Pokemon have abilities like this Darkrai. And this one, and they happen whenever, like, for example, this one. Each of your Pokemon that has any dark energy attached to it has no retreat cost. Okay. I should get into retreat cost before I explain what that abilities are. Okay, the retreat cost is to switch out your Pokemon. Each Pokemon has a retreat cost. Some Pokemon have none. Let me just get a better example. I swear I saw one up here earlier. This is not a good example. I should have had this prepared. This one. No, that one had. This one. I swear I saw one. Just filters. Retreat cost 0. Apply. For example, this Pokemon, Beautifly, has no retreat cost. That means you can switch it back and forth. You can switch it from one of your other Pokemon for no cost. And what is that cost, you're probably wondering? That cost is is this. That means this one means that you have to discard 2 of any energies attached to it, though it's most likely going to be a fairy one. One of them is most likely going to be a fairy one because it requires 2 fairy and 1 of anything else to use its move. Though that allows it to discard 2 of any cards and then 2 of any energy cards, I should say, and then it switches out for one of its others. Now, trainer cards. There's 3 sorts of trainer cards. There is supported cards, which you can play only once per turn. There is stadium cards, which give like a buff or debuff to all Pokemon in play. And then there is item cards, which you can use as much as you want per turn. Okay, let's use this card, this supporter, as an example. Supporters tend to be quite OP cards, tend to be very OP. That's why you're only allowed to use 1 per turn. For example, this one draws 2 cards. And there's another one here, draw 3 cards. So that's a better one. Now, the items tend to be more or less good. They tend to be under 2 categories. ones that you can Pokemon tools and non-Pokemon tools. Pokemon tools is you attach to Pokemon and then that Pokemon gets that buff or debuff. Regular Pokemon items tend to be just items. You can use them, and you discard them. Use them, discard them. You can use them as much as you want per turn. Now there's also Ace Specs items. They can be supporters, items, or stadiums, though I've never seen a stadium one. They are incredibly overpowered cards that you can only have one card of it per deck. So for example, this one heals 90 damage from one of your Pokemon, which is incredibly overpowered compared to the average healing ones. Of this does 30 heals 30. So that's 3 of those. 3 of those. Now, you can only have 60 cards in your deck. You can. 60 cards. You can't have any less like in Yu-Gi-Oh! You can only have exactly 60 cards. So I'm going to get into a game to show you guys how you play. Okay, I'm going to be using my Ghoulish Minds deck, which has 41 wins, as a general showing off of all the different things, because this one has a very broad collection of cards. I'm just going to say, good luck, have fun. Okay, he's going first. Here's something. If you don't have a basic Pokemon, you have to redraw your cards, and the opponent gets a card every time. Okay, then he gets 2 cards this game, 2 extra cards. There we go. Now I have a basic Pokemon, which is this Kangaskhan. I put that one down first, because that's my only basic Pokemon. And he is choosing his bench Pokemon, which are your other Pokemon. You can normally only have 6 Pokemon in play, 5 bench, or one active Pokemon. Okay then. He has put out a Miltank. So, you flipped a coin at the start, and you choose whether heads or tails, and now if you go first, you can't attack on that turn. Though, so the person who comes second can attack first, which means he can't take advantage of any of his moves. Though he just used a card called Wally, which allows him to evolve Pokemon, regardless of whether it's your first turn or not, and you can't evolve Pokemon the first turn it's played out, so that card takes advantage of that. Now I'm going to use this card, which allows me to search my deck for 2 energies, which should clear my deck of cards. It should. So the next turn, because you draw a card each turn, it should allow you to get more cards. Now this move here, search your deck, call for family, search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon, and put them on your bench. This is a very good card for setting up, it is. So I'm going to get my Mew EX and my Ralts, because I have a Curlier in my hand. And that puts them onto the bench. Now, EXs are special cards where if you beat them, if the opponent beats them, they get to draw 2 prize cards, which are these things. 2 prize cards. Now there are 3 ways of winning in this game. Number 1, if you beat all your Pokemon, so he has none left on his bench and inactive spot, then you win. If you draw all of your prize cards, then you win. If your opponent runs out of cards in his deck, then you win. Now, when you draw a prize card every time you beat one of your opponent's Pokemon. Now, if he withdraws one of his Pokemon to his hand using an item or something like that, he can't do this normally, but if he does that, then that doesn't count as you drawing a card. It's only if you beat it and that goes to the discard pile that counts as being beaten. So I'm going to call for family again. I just use this card to set up. Now I'm going to get a Venipede and an Elysium. Okay then. Now you can only attach one energy per turn, which is just a way of being able to set it up. I'm going to set out my Venipede on purpose because it's going to lose. Okay, this card here, sometimes the cards don't render properly, so this card hasn't rendered properly, but this is a trainer card, which, you know, makes me draw 3 cards. There we go. Now I'm going to use this card here, which Evo Soda, which allows me to search my deck for Pokemon that evolves from one of the Pokemon that is currently in play. So I'm going to choose my Glade and evolve that Curly up to stage 2 Glade. I shall attach another energy to it. Now I'm going to end my turn. Now I've tactically put this card out because when it is attacked, even if it's beaten, the opponent becomes poisoned. Now there are certain status effects. The first one's poisoned, which your opponent takes damage, 10 damage every turn. Then there's burned, which can be every turn. See, this one's poisoned. Every turn you flip a coin, and I'm going to send out my Mew just to take a hit so I can put more energy on my Glade. And I shall use this card here, Pokemon Fan Club, just to get 2 more bench cards. I'm going to choose my Duskull and my Deoxys. Now I'm letting my guys take a hit, I am, because he's drawn 2 prize cards just so I can set up better later on. Now I'm going to end my turn. Now, see, he took poison damage. In between every time person changes turns, then you take 10 damage. So burned, yeah, you flip a coin every time between every turn you flip a coin, and if that is heads, then you don't take damage, but if it's tails, you take 20 damage. So depending on your luck, it can be worse than poison. Now poison and burn, they stack up, they do, so you can have someone that's poisoned and burned, plus another condition. So that's pretty strong. There's 3 other conditions which don't stack up with each other. There is, because they count to show them they rotates the card. Now for first one is paralyzed, which makes it so your opponent can't attack at all during your next turn. The next is confused, which makes it so that between every time they attack, they have to flip a coin, and if it is tails, they take damage on themselves. That, I'm pretty sure that damage is 30 damage, if I'm not mistaken. Which is when they face backwards, they do back to their opponent, to themselves. They don't do an attack that turn as well. Now I'm going to heal my Mew with this card, which heals 60 damage. It's a supporter card, so I can't use another supporter that turn. Now I'm going to attach, because this guy doesn't need any more energies, because he's got 3 energies, which is all he needs for that one, I'm going to attach it to another Pokemon. So I'm going to attach it to my Deoxys. And I'm going to undo that move. I'm going to actually attach it to my Mew, so it can attack. I'm going to use its ability Versatile, which allows it to use any attack of any Pokemon on the field, which is very good. Now I'm going to use its Powerful Friends move, which is this Pokemon's move actually, which will do 80 damage. Yes, very strong move. Then, yeah. That's the good thing about this card. It can use your opponent's Pokemon against them, it can. Now, there is... What was I on about before? Oh yeah, the last status condition is sleep, which makes it so that your opponent, your opponent is... Now this card here I'm using Switch, which just switches my Pokemon without any retreat cost. I'm going to put in the card Training Center, which will increase his health by 30. So it turns his 140 up to 170. So I'm going to then use Powerful Storm, which counts up 20 times the amount of energy. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this should do 100 damage. There we go. Now I draw my first prize card. Now, yeah, the last condition is Sleep, which is the weakest of all conditions it is. Basically, in between turns, your opponent flips a coin, and if it is heads, they wake up. That gets rid of the entire status condition. It's basically paralyzed, but you have to flip a coin, which makes it arguably weaker, because paralyzed is incredibly strong, as is confused. So he did 120 damage he did just then. How much health does he have? Okay, he has a fair amount of health, he does. So I'm going to use this card here, Hypnotoxic Laser, which poisons and makes the opponent asleep if I get a heads. So he's poisoned. It's heads, so he's asleep. But he has to flip a coin between each turn, so that would make it so he's got 25% chance of staying asleep next turn, which is arguably very low. So I'm going to attach this to my Deoxys, and this should do 100 and... Actually no, I'm going to use Swift Lunge, which switches this Pokemon for another Pokemon in his bench. So there, that means he has to switch, which actually makes it so the poison was pointless actually, because when you're on your bench you can't have any status conditions. So that was actually a wasted card. That was. I wasted this card. And he beats my guy. So I shouldn't have done that. I honestly shouldn't have. But I did. Which wasn't the best move on my part. But you win some, you lose some. So now I'm going to attach this to him. Why? Because his final card, this is his stage 2, requires 4 energy. So I'm just preparing him. So I'm going to use his move Overdrive Smash, which makes it so it does 30 damage on the first turn you use it, but every turn after that it does 90 damage. Except if you use a different move or change Pokemon. So let's wait for his turn. Now he's winning at the moment, he is, with his 3 prize cards. With taking 3 prize cards. So yes, he is winning. So that did 80 damage. Now this move here will do 90 damage at will this turn. Overdrive Smash, this will do 90 damage, which will beat his Miltank. Or I get to draw a card, which is a Tierno, who just isn't loading properly. Which makes me draw 3 cards. Okay, then. There we go. He did his turn. Now, that knocks out my Deoxys. Now, in 2 more guys he beats, and he wins. Now, I'm going to send out my Dust Skull, because it has Confuse Ray, plus I'm hoping I can get a... No, I didn't. Okay, then. I was unlucky. I was hoping I could get a Dusclops. I could with that Tierno. So, I made a gamble there, and I didn't win on the gamble. So now, at the moment, I'm not going to play my new EX at all, because if he beats it, he takes 2 prize cards, which automatically makes him win. And it is very weak at the moment as well. So I'm going to use Confuse, right, which will confuse him. So every time he attacks, he has to flip a coin. If he gets tails, he does 30 damage to himself. So that's a risk reward thing if you're confused. If you think you're lucky, go for it. If you don't think you're lucky, don't go for it. Now you don't have to attack when on your turn. You can just do end turn. That end your turn. You don't have to attack at all. Now my turn. See, he didn't attack. That means he weighed out the risk rewards and he didn't want to. Now this card here is Xerosic. Choose a Pokemon tool or special energy card attached to a Pokemon in play, yours or your opponent's, and discard it. Now I'm going to use this to discard this energy right here, because that energy is very annoying at the moment. Attach that to you. Now I'm going to use, I'm just going to keep confusing him. It Confuse stays in as long as that Pokemon is out. Now he can only do an attack. He can only do the attack Will-O-Wisp he can, because he's only got 2 energies attached to him. So by getting rid of this card here, this double colorless, which basically you can basically just does 2 colorless energies. Yeah. Now, there's one thing I forgot to tell you. Now you're probably thinking, that double colors, that seems pretty overpowered. There's the card I was looking for, the Dusclops. You're probably thinking, that card seems very overpowered. Well, it is, except for the fact that you can only have... Now this move allows me to put 4 damage counters on any Pokemon, so I'm going to put 4 on you. Just put 4 on you. And there. Now, except for the fact that you can only have 4 of a certain named card. You could 4 in your deck. For example, you could have 4 completely different Dusclops in your deck, but you can't have a 5th one. EXs, you can't have, you did 100 damage, which makes you have 10 damage left, which is very unsettling. It is. Now, I'm going to play that. It'll get me this just to clear out my deck a bit more. I've got 16 cards left in my deck. I'm going to attach this to my Elysium, just because when it evolves, he'll need that. Damage card from. Now I'm going to use this move here, Sinister, this ability here, which allows me to move a damage counter from one of my opponent's Pokemon to one of his other. So I'm actually going to knock this one out with the damage which I've done to this one. It should heals one, but it beats another. So this will actually knock this one out if I do this. Yeah, this will take a bit. Okay, and one more should knock it out. There we go, and it is knocked out, making him switch in to another Pokemon, and I haven't even attacked yet. So this is very tactical, it is, in that you can get rid of a Pokemon, and then they switch into a Pokemon which doesn't have any energy attached to it, so they can't even attack you. So yeah, this is very good. I'm in an advantage here, even though he's got one more prize card than me taken away. I'm still winning at this point, I am. So yes. Now, you can only have one stadium card in play, you can, and basically that will remove, he's just deciding which Pokemon he wants. He's taking a fair amount of time. There we go. That you can only have one stadium card in play. You can't have multiple. I'm going to use this move. You can't have multiple, and if you play another one, that discards this one. So, I'm starting to run low on cards, I am, which is good for me, because that means I'll get all the cards I know are in my deck. Because throughout this entire game, I've been basically counting cards. I've been memorizing which cards I have in my discard pile, which cards I've used, and which cards are in my deck, so I can tell what's coming next. And I've got a Tierno. So there. Go. And this card here, it's quite good. It's just you can only attach it to, it's a special energy. You can only attach it to a psychic Pokemon, but you basically it reduces the, even though that guy didn't need it, what that one does is it reduces the retreat cost. It does by 2, so that his retreat cost is now 1. So I'm going to beat this guy. So one more turn and he's beaten. Now he can't beat my guy. He can do 30 damage, but that won't beat him. There we go. So he's got 30 health left. And what have I gotten here? An Evo Soda. And this is what I was hoping for. Now if I use an Evo Soda, I can get this Beheeyem and put this on my Elysium, which his moves Damakinesis takes 60 damage from any of my guys and puts them on any of his guys, which is very good, like incredibly good. So I'm going to use a switch on you to get him out. Then I'm actually going to take 1 damage counter off this guy so I can get a perfect 60 on him and damage his Emboar. There. So now this move will do exactly 60 damage, which is exactly what we need to take him out. So I'm going to use Damakinesis and take, which is the weakest one, take 1 off you. Just do 10 damage to him. Basically just take damage counters off them, which will damage him. So I'm going to get to work on this. Okay, and I'm going to use the last one on my Mew X because it's slightly more valuable at this point, because if it gets knocked out, that's it. They're gone. I lose. So, there. Now we are actually evened out, and I've gotten a Hypnotoxic Laser, so I can poison and put to sleep this one, which is the most likely he's going to put out because it's got more health, so he has more time to draw cards as it dies. But yes, this is the good thing about these sort of cards. They heal your guys while damaging the opponent, which is incredibly valuable. This card here, Pokemon Center Lady, which is one that I've been wanting. It heals your guys, it does. Now, this guy has the most health, so I'm going to use it on him. There we go. So that healed 60 damage from him. I'm going to use a Hypnotoxic Laser on him, on the opponent's Emboar. Poison, and okay, didn't put him to sleep. So I'm going to attach this to my Mew because it suddenly becomes viable again. Because I'm going to use Damakinesis and just use all the damage counters from my Mew. And this is the last one. There. Oh no, second last one then. Actually, yeah, because he had the poison. And I put one on there before. There we go. So now that Mew is fully healed. Can't get more healed. So as soon as this guy fully heals this one, I'll have no use for him because he can't use that attack because he doesn't. Yeah, I'm running out. So that was the last energy out of my deck. So I've only got 7 cards left in my deck. So my deck is running very thin. Very, very thin. So I'm going to... Yes, I'm going to use this Damakinesis on him, I am. Which should take 50 damage from him and put it on him. Now he can't use his that attack anymore because he doesn't have any damage counters on any of my guys. Unless he does that fire breathing attack. Which he probably will. Or, oh, he's doing the stronger one. Energy Blast. Fire Blast. Oh, okay then. Now, he gets to draw 1 card, but I am going to play out my Dusknoir, which will beat his guy, and then win. Now this is my Ace Specs. It basically is the only one, you can only have 1 Ace Specs in a deck. Basically it switches, it's a switch but it also switches energy, which is incredibly strong. Now, at this point, I have won. A lot of people will like disconnect when you are this close to winning. It still lowers your lose counter. It still raises your lose counter. It does if you disconnect, but yeah. Now, I'm definitely going to win this at this point. Okay, that's a Tierno. I shall not use this because I'm running very low on cards in my deck, dangerously low. So I'm not going to use it. Here's my Dusknoir. There we go. Because he did that, which would have lowered my card count very, very low. So this is very good demonstration. It's a very evenly matched game, this is. Will-O-Wisp, okay, that'll only do 30 damage. Using this card, which searches his deck for 2 basic energy cards. So that means you can't use this one. You can't draw that one. That's the downside to special energy cards. Most cards which allow you to draw energy cards don't allow you to draw that sort. So I'm going to use the Shadow Punch. So one more turn and I have won. Okay, then he's putting that down. It doesn't matter at this point because I've won at this point. I have. I'm gonna say good game, and because I won. Even if he switches out, I've won this. 80 damage. Okay then. Now I'm going to because if I use this, then I won't have a single card deck left in my deck, and I've lost. Funny game, yes, very funny. And he is asleep. Okay then. Move. Now I've won, because I'm going to move my damage counters to one of his others. So I have won. So I'm just going to fast forward this a bit. Okay, and this is the final one. And I've won. See? There we go. And let's see what my prize is. Oh, I got a prize. Let's see what the mystery gift is. But yeah, that is about it. Ooh, I got a new pack. I shall open it. I'll just open it for you guys. Here, let's see the card. Cards are... And... Ooh, okay, I've got a new Vibrava, a new Kakuna, which is... I've already got the silver one. This is just a reverse holo, which is just the shiny background, and an Excadrill, which is fairly good. Okay then guys, if you like this video, leave a like. If you loved it, subscribe. If you want to talk to me, just leave a comment in the description below. I always read them. Bye!